So imagine you discover something that could literally change the course of human history. We're talking warp drives, unimaginable power, the whole shebang. But then you realize the biggest threat to this amazing discovery is us. Today we are going to unpack the incredible story of how one man came to an absolutely unthinkable conclusion, that the future he was building had to be erased.
And that's it. That's the end of the line. This is the moment when the benefactor of this world-changing project finally accepts that his creation, it has to die. But look, this wasn't some snap decision. He didn't just wake up one morning and decide this. No, he arrived at this terrible, terrible conclusion about human nature through a slow, methodical process.
So that's really the big question we're tackling today, right? How does a person get to that point? What were the steps? What was the evidence that convinced him that the only way to save humanity from itself was to destroy the ultimate prize? Let's follow his train of thought, step by step.
All right, so here's our roadmap. We're going to trace the 6 psychological steps that brought him to this point. It all starts with a quiet morning of reflection, then moves to the warning signs from history, the complete collapse of trust, a powerful memory from his past, all of it building to that final inner point of no return.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The immediate crisis, the big blow-up, that's over. The initial shock of seeing his hand-picked team, this consortium, just dissolve into fighting and backstabbing, that's faded a little. The benefactor isn't just reacting anymore. He's calm, he's thinking, and he's ready to really dissect why he believes this entire project is completely and utterly doomed.
And this is where it all starts to click for him. He starts to see the squabbling among his team not as some isolated incident, not as a one-off failure. He sees it as something much, much scarier, a historical pattern, a deep human flaw that just keeps repeating itself, and it's happening right in front of his eyes. He's connecting the dots, and the picture that's forming, well, it's not a pretty one.
He thinks back to something like dynamite. It was celebrated as this incredible tool for progress, for building things. But then, almost casually, almost without anyone noticing, it just slid into becoming a tool of war. He's terrified that this new technology, this incredible discovery, is on the exact same track. He's realizing that good intentions, they just don't stand a chance against the kind of ambition that comes with this much power.
And this right here, this is his core fear. The technology is so powerful that it creates its own twisted logic, an arms race, a Cold War. It's that classic, if we don't build it, they will. The fear isn't just that one bad actor will misuse it. It's that everyone will rush to control it to stop everyone else. And in that kind of race, the only truly moral move, the only act of real restraint, is to take the prize off the table for good.
So this isn't just some abstract, historical fear for him. It's becoming painfully real. He didn't have to look far to see the pattern, because it was playing out right there, inside the very multi-billion-dollar project he was funding. The illusion of trust was shattering.
He could pinpoint the exact moments it all fell apart. It started small. The tone in meetings just changes. It's less about we and us, and suddenly it's all about I and my team. Then comes the hard evidence. A document gets leaked that shows people are making back-channel deals, trying to get an edge. And that's the final nail in the coffin. He realizes no one's even talking about helping humanity anymore. It's all about power, position, control.
Now, the benefactor is trying to understand why. Why are these brilliant, world-class people acting like this? And the answer, the key that unlocks it all, doesn't come from a research paper or a psychological study. It comes from a memory deep in his past, from when he was just a kid at boarding school.
And it all comes flooding back. He remembers this crucial lesson from his school days. The kids with the real power weren't the strongest or the loudest. They were the cleverest, the ones who could break the rules without getting caught, who could game the system while making everything look fair. And it's like a light bulb goes off. He sees the exact same dynamic playing out with his consortium. These brilliant people are using their cleverness not for the greater good, but just to get ahead. It's a deeply human and, frankly, a deeply disturbing pattern.
Seeing this failure, this pattern, triggers a massive shift in his thinking. He moves beyond just, I have to stop this project. He starts asking a much, much bigger question. What would it take for humanity to ever be worthy of this kind of power? He's not just thinking about destruction anymore. He's thinking about what you'd have to build first.
And this question becomes his new obsession. It's not about this specific crisis anymore. It's about the future of our entire species. He starts to think about a set of rules, a code of conduct, prerequisites that have to be met before we even get close to a discovery this big again.
And these are the first raw ideas that would grow into the Code of Caution. Now, look at the logic here. It's brilliant. Think about nuclear weapons, AI, even social media. We invented the thing first, and then we try to make up the rules after the damage was already done. He's saying, no, that's backwards. You have to write the doctrine before anyone even thinks about lighting the fuse.
So after working through history, through his own painful memories, and through the absolute failure of his team, he finally arrives at the end of the line. This is it, the final unshakable verdict he reaches in the silence of his own mind.
The project has to die. It's over. And not because the science was bad or the technology was evil, but because the people tasked with protecting it proved that humanity, right here, right now, just isn't ready. The risk of a global war to control this power was simply too great. The only sane path forward was to end it.
And that brings us right back to where we started. By tracing these 6 steps, we finally understand how we got here. This isn't a statement of failure or defeat. It's a statement of profound, almost unbearable responsibility. The question for him was never if he should act, but how to dismantle this incredible discovery without causing even more chaos. And it leaves us with a pretty heavy question, doesn't it? If you were faced with that same truth, what would you do?